Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 96. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 8th, 3267. Sylvan tried to bring enough energy to bear so that he could call Bassilus, but his body was overexhausted and he couldn't manage to pull in any energy, let alone use any that he might have taken in. With a heavy sigh, he splayed out across the chair. I can't do it. That fight took everything I had. We will have to wait for me to recover. How long until Doomsday? Talaktan gesticulated with her antenna as she spoke. Well, only about 6 hours, and that's before impact. Not to mention these bodies that are sitting in orbit only have about an hour or so before they hit the planet's surface. Since the body parts are around the size of a moon altogether, that's still Doomsday, right? They're invertebrates, so they should be pretty squishy, but there's a lot of mass hitting the planet at high velocity. It will likely spell doom for us on its own. So, unless you can get better in a few minutes, our world is fucked. He groaned and rolled his eyes, before he paused and a grin played across his face. You don't happen to have priests who can use the power of the Fel, do you? If so, I could use them as a proxy to contact Basilisk. She thought silently for a moment before nodding her head and moving to the cockpit. We do indeed have some of the Psi Corps remaining despite the hard fight. They are likely tired as well, but this has to be done, she said, as she strapped in and gunned the ship down to the last remaining city. By the way, this is just for the record. This planet's name is Lunis, in commemoration of being the last world colonized while the goddess still lived in our area of space. It has great cultural significance to us. I would personally appreciate it if you could find a way to save it. She turned her head to get a look at Sylvan, but he was already asleep. She just sighed to herself as she realigned the planetary entry for an easier ride down. A few minutes later, she landed the ship in the same dock she had taken off from to make things easier for Malik. As she got up to exit the ship, she paused to take in Sylvan's battle-scarred features for a moment before cracking a smile. She decided to let him sleep for a little longer and opted to instead call the cycle to the landing pad. She navigated her contacts and found one of the Corps lieutenants that survived the battle. Lieutenant Draconis, please gather the Psi Corps and meet me at landing pad 7. I brought your apostle, but he is running on fumes. He could use a jump start if you want to see this planet saved. Draconis saluted, even though it was voice only. Ma'am, yes ma'am. She swirled around to her resting and busy comrades alike and clapped her mandibles together, creating green sparks. The apostle is here. Drop what you're doing and form up on me. Now. Let's fucking move, ladies. A veritable swarm of 74-foot-long ants quickly dropped their tasks or left their break times as they formed up on their CO. Talaktan was smoking a cigar and sitting at the base of the ramp as she waited for Draconis and her cycle troops. When she finally caught sight of them leaving the building, she paused. They looked like they had a fire in their eyes as they practically sprinted in formation to pad 7. She quickly put out her cigar and rushed up the ramp. Sir Sylvan, she whispered, you have to wake up. They are going to want to meet you. Sylvan slowly opened his bloodshot eyes and sighed. He rubbed his eyes and stood up with only a slight wobble before giving Talaktan a small nod. Thanks for the wake-up, Alaktan. Hopefully they can help me contact the Lord. He stepped out to the ramp and was greeted with a sight of 70 ants, all bowing their heads in reverence to him. As soon as he showed himself, they all spoke at once while adding veil energy to their words. We greet you, great apostle of death. They struck their mandibles together 3 times, creating an otherworldly bassy sound that resonated like bells. With each clack of the mandibles, small gouts of green flame puffed into the air. Sylvan smiled. I am glad that you think so highly of my Lord Basilisk and Lady Amaranth. I would like to use you to contact my lord so that he can put your moon back. And the mess I left in orbit too. Draconis raised her head and stared at Sylvan, taking in his features before she finally spoke. You said Lord Basilisk and Lady Amaranth? They are not in the pantheon of gods. Those names do not exist in the inherited memories of our ancestors that actually converse with the goddess Lunisia. Yet somehow you bear the marks of death and hatred. Both of these are normally held by Lady Maleficus, the dragon god. She is the goddess that I personally worship and revere, so I would not mistake her powers or her name. What is the meaning of you using those 2 unknown names while utilizing the powers of my lady? He chuckled for a moment. If you allow me to connect you to him, you will understand. Draconis was silent for a moment before she started walking up the ramp to him. Very well, connect me to your god, she said, as he tapped an antenna onto Sylvan and connected to his mind. He focused his mind on Basilisk and Draconis submersed herself into his subconscious mind so that she could directly see Basilisk. When the connection was finally made, her mouth dried up as she felt a pit forming in her stomach. His form had changed, but she recognized the gigantic black frame covered in spikes. She recognized the blade that slew billions of demons and even put 2 gods in their place. And she recognized the terrifying visage of a mortal stuck in hell, the hatred that seeped from every pore, though who was more now. Your Lord Basilisk is the Great Slayer? The Machine God? He went missing hundreds of years ago. He defeated Maleficus and slew Mael and then dropped off the face of the universe. How? How is he here? Why do I feel Lady Maleficus with him? Did he absorb her? She froze for a moment as she caught a glimpse of the person riding on Basilus's shoulder. Lady Maleficus? What? What the fuck is going on? At that moment, she noticed Basilus's gaze on her. Sylvan, why do you have someone in here with you? Are you alright? Sylvan knelt down and nodded. Yes, Lord Bassilus. I thank you for your concern of my humble existence. I overused the powers you bestowed upon me, and now I cannot use my divine power. I had to get assistance from the local priesthood to contact you. I desperately need your help to save these Toverei. They set the moon to drop on their world to deny the Azarians R&R. But I already killed the Azarians, so now the world is going to perish in vain. Please, grant them mercy. Basilisk sighed and slumped a little. Of course, more moon shit. It's always the moons, isn't it? Yeah, I'll help out. They've got my respect for using scorched earth tactics in Cthulhu. They at least seem a bit more competent than the rest of the galaxy for that fact alone.